I'm now joined by the former Prime Minister of Israel, Ehud Olmert. Thank you for your time. So look, we're almost a year on from the events of October 7th. Did you ever think that we would be at this point, about 11 months later, with conflict still raging, some hostages still in captivity and some hostages killed?
No, not really. I have to say that I thought, and I said 8 months ago, that at that time we should have stopped the war. We have achieved almost everything that we could have achieved in a military operation such as this, with all the underground city, which is enormously difficult to fight with. And I thought that the longer we continue, the more likely we are going to lose many of the hostages. And unfortunately, we are now almost a year after October 7th. And we have a very small number of the original number of the hostages still alive. So I think it's a total failure, the Israeli government. No strategy, no vision, no political vision, no military planning, nothing.
I mean, you've been very clear in your words about the current Israeli government. You called Netanyahu and his government a gang recently. In an op-ed for Haaretz, you argued that their ultimate aim is the purging of the West Bank of Palestinians. You use words like Armageddon. Do you stand by those words, and what kind of response have you had to them?
Entirely. Unfortunately, I find myself time and again, which really breaks my heart, that some of the worst possible visions that I have in my mind are unfolding every day in our lives, which is absolutely terrible. Yes, I think that the Messianic groups in the Israeli government, Ben-Gvir and Smotrich, and all their supporters are absolutely anxious to carry on the war in the south, to expand the war into the north, and to break down the Palestinians in the West Bank. They want an Armageddon. They believe that within the framework of an Armageddon, of a comprehensive, violent confrontation, they will be able to expel the Palestinians from the West Bank and prepare the eventual complete annexation of the territories into the state of Israel. So, as far as they are concerned, maybe it's becoming obvious to many. Problem is that they are fully supported by the Prime Minister. Netanyahu is entirely with them. Whether deep in his heart he may have a different idea, I don't know. But how can you judge a Prime Minister if not by what he does, what he says, who are his partners, who does he support, and what do they support in what he does? And there is a complete partnership between him and the extreme Messianic groups. And this is a serious threat to the future, the stability, the balance, the status of the state of Israel. And there is only one remedy, none other than the overthrowing of the Israeli government. The sooner, the better.
Well, yeah, clearly that unrest or that dim opinion, we could call it politely, of Benjamin Netanyahu has spread not only from the political class, from his opponents in government and outside of government, but to the streets as well. In recent weeks, we're seeing large unrest in places like Tel Aviv, with unions going on strike, etc., putting pressure on his government. Do you think enough pressure will be applied by the public that another election will be called?
It's growing. I don't know. I can tell you what I want. I want to try to spread the word. I try to speak up as much as I can in order to influence as many. There is a growing distrust and rage amongst hundreds of thousands, millions of people in Israel. In fact, you have to remember something which is not perhaps emphasized enough in the international media. In an endless number of opinion polls which were taken in Israel since October 7th, 2023 until today, consistently, more than 60% of the Israelis say that they do not trust the prime minister. 60% of the people say that they think that the decisions taken by the cabinet under his complete influence are mostly influenced by his personal political and interest rather than the national interest of the state of Israel. So it's true, technically, Netanyahu has a majority of 4 votes in the Knesset. He has 64 votes, and the absolute majority is actually 61. So he has just a very small number of votes, but that does not reflect, at the present time, the real public opinion of the people of Israel. And I expect that this growing distrust will spread further to the point where it will become almost impossible to carry on, and the government will have to call for early elections. And some of the partners of the government will just withdraw from their support one way or another. I hope it will not happen in the streets. There is a danger that sometimes things go out of control. We had a demonstration the other day with close to 400,000 people in the center of Tel Aviv. And there were clashes with police, and the police is under the influence of Ben Gvir. And there are many fears amongst many Israelis that the internal balance, which is the essence of what democracy is all about, is eroding. And I hope it will not reach a point where there will be a violent confrontations between different groups of Israelis, rioters, demonstrators, protesters, and the Israeli police and the Messianic groups that are inspired and influenced and operated by Ben Gvir and their supporters will not clash with others. We are not far from it.
I mean, that's why I find it interesting that we hear this line of reasoning that Benjamin Netanyahu is stalling on a proposed internationally mediated ceasefire deal for supposed political gain, when the picture that you're painting there is it could be a political disadvantage to keep holding off from a ceasefire deal, no?
No, the problem is that the reason he's stalling this deal is very simple. His partners, without which he will not have a majority in parliament and he will collapse momentarily, they say, if he will go for this deal, they will break down the government. So the only reason that he doesn't make the deal that will save the lives of all the remaining living hostages, and we don't know how many of them are alive. We know that there are no more than 101. How many of the 101 are still alive? I wish I knew. I don't know, and I don't think anyone in Israel knows. And perhaps every day that passes will reduce this number. So the reason why Netanyahu doesn't make this deal is very simple. Ben Gvir and Smotrich say that if there will be a deal, there will not be a government. And therefore, he has to make a choice between his continued control over the government or a deal which will save the hostages and which will end the military operations, which will save the lives of many Israeli soldiers that are going to be killed in Gaza just as part of this process of violence and confrontation, and will also save the lives of many Palestinian innocent civilians amongst the Palestinians that are becoming victims because of these unavoidable confrontations that take place sometimes in the urban centers where the Hamas fighters are hiding. So this is the choice. It's very simple. It's very difficult, and for us it's heartbreaking. But there is something that I want to say. In my lifetime, I've been around for quite a long time. I've been in the center of Israeli politics for over 40 years. 9 times elected into parliament, and so on. There is a time when leadership is measured by one thing, the ability of the leader to take a decision which is the opposite of everything that he has been preaching for and supporting all his life. Only because at a time that he needs to take that decision, this is the right thing to do for the people that he is leading. And this was the greatness of Churchill and the greatness of de Gaulle and the greatness of Menachem Begin and the greatness of Yitzhak Rabin and the greatness of Ariel Sharon. Bibi is not great. He's very small. He's very small. He pretends, he believes that he is a Churchill guy, but he's not even Chamberlain.
Well, as you say, that would take giving up a narrative, something you've preached for, something you have stuck to for so many years, something you have surrounded yourself with in your own government and cabinet, and it would take that sort of bravery to step away from that narrative and change it to do what you think is right now. Tell me this, though, sir, if you don't mind, Mr. Olmert. How much is Netanyahu's government listening to those outside of the government, like yourself, like others? I mean, you reportedly signed this agreement with the nephew of former Palestinian Authority President Yasser Arafat back in July, talking about working together to promote peace in the Middle East using the 1967 borders as a basis. Do you think there's any hope at all that your plans, that discussion is being listened to?
I didn't say anything to Arafat. I issued a joint statement with the nephew of Arafat, of Dr. Nasser Kilwa, but this is not something I'm going to discuss now. This is something that we are going to make a joint appearance later this month, and we will talk about it. But if you ask me whether the Israelis, the cabinet ministers, listen to me, the answer is very simple: no. They don't listen to me. They don't listen to anything other than they are captives of their own obsessions and rhetorics and pettiness and aggression and messianic dreams. They live completely separated from the mainstream of what Israel is all about. They are completely separated from the basic fundamental values which have characterized the state of Israel and the Jewish people for so many generations. We are not, in our nature, we are not occupiers. We don't hate. We don't persecute. We don't commit war crimes. We are tolerant, and we are prepared to compromise with our adversaries and our enemies. We know how to fight, and when necessary we fight, and there was no question that we had to destroy the military power of Hamas because of the terrible, terrible atrocities that they have committed against our people and the danger that they have established for the future of the Middle East at all and the state of Israel. But we are far away from where we were supposed to be at the beginning. We destroyed our military power, mostly. And now it's the time to think about the future, to offer a political vision, to end the war, save the hostages, to pull out from Gaza, to start negotiations for a comprehensive peace between us and the Palestinians. But unfortunately, considering the present circumstances, this will mean the end of the political future of Netanyahu and a group of thugs which surround him and encircle him. And therefore, they wouldn't listen to me. They wouldn't listen to the voice of reason. They wouldn't listen to the voice of compromise and compassion, because that will bring an end to their political careers. And for them, this is the most important thing.
So with that in mind, I'm just interested to end by asking why you give interviews like this now. Are you hoping that they will listen, or are you speaking to a different audience?
No, I speak for the people of Israel, to the majority of the people of Israel. Yeah, of course, those who will disagree with me. But I'll tell you something, I measure it every day. I walk in the streets, I go to a restaurant, I go to a store, I meet with people. A number of people that come to me and say, you speak for us, against those who curse me, is maybe one who curses me for every 100 that come to me and want to hug me and to thank me for what I say. I speak to them and I speak to those who don't see me, but who feel like me and who share with me the desires, the vision, the dreams, and the ambition to change realities and to end wars, to end losing lives of innocent people, and to start embark on what will ultimately become the momentum for peace.
Former Prime Minister of Israel, Ehud Olmert, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.